All right, testing, testing. See what we got over here on our watch list. Like RDHL up 50% and then SMX up 42%. SMX has 17 million shares traded. RDHL has 7 million. Okay. Let's change that over to HL taking the lead as SMX dips down, dips on out of there. Looking for catalysts on the day for SMX. Says shares jumped 55.1% in after hours. Says this is a non-profit technology company or research center in Spain signed a non-binding letter of agreement of intent. Non-binding letter of intent to assess the possibility of incorporating SMX molecular marking platform into Cartief's industry 5.0 and sustainability initiatives. Okay. So a letter of intent up 42%. Let's see what RDHL Red Hill has going on over here. It says Red Hill announced a 10.5 million New York Supreme Court judgment win, now final for enforcement. Okay, so they won in court. Let's see. It's so judgment against Kubo. This is an Asian company as well. It says has secured a Korean court attachment grant against Kubo or Kubo, aimed at preventing Kubo from disposing of assets prior to judgment enforcement. I don't know if that's just killer news for us. Let's go look into the profiles for these two. RDHL. All right, Red Hill announces 10 point, whoops, Red Hill Biopharm Limited, a specialty biopharmaceutical company, primarily focuses on gastrointestinal and infectious diseases. The company develops and commercializes Talicia for the treatment of H. pylori infection in adults. Let's see. They got SARS, COVID. Company was incorporated in 2009 and is headquartered in Tel Aviv, Israel. So this, I thought this was a Asian company because they were talking about Korea, but I guess not. This is an Israeli company. Go ahead and notate that. Incorporated in 2009. Let's go back over here to SMX and see what its profile is talking about. Good morning, Hebrew. Oops. Get that extra small. Let's see what they got here. All right, SMX Security Matters Public Limited Company Security. SMX Public Limited Company provides brand protection, authentication, and track and trace technology for anti-counterfeit market. Its proprietary marker system embeds a permanent and removable mark on solid, liquid, or gaseous objects. The company's solutions. Didn't we see this yesterday? I think we did. Okay, tracing out of Dublin, Ireland. I believe we saw that yesterday, but it's like it is not as. Oh, yesterday pre-market, yeah, that's when we saw it getting up there. Failed throughout the rest of the day and then wrapped back up today, but a very tight range on that one. I'm gonna be looking for a little bit more volume because on some of these, I don't think the market is excited enough for some of these to just be ripping, and I'm going to have to actually look for a little bit more volume. Now, these two have volume for sure, but their catalyst is kind of on the edge. Go ahead and notate this SMX is from Dublin, Ireland. Company was known as Ipatan Public Limited Company and changed its name to SMX Public Limited in February 2023. So name change 2023. But it doesn't say when it actually opened though. Okay. Just change this name. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we can see on the overall market, overall news. All right, Wall Street pros to see their biggest bonus bump since 2021. Wall Street's year-end bonuses, which are will be doled out early next year, are going up. Trump tariffs, big test in Supreme Court arrives. U.S. shutdown is now Washington's longest ever. I think the last longest one was 35 days, I believe. Latest stock pullback shows how stretched this market has become. Musk 1 trillion pay Musk 1 trillion pay fight to dominate Tesla shareholder meet. Global chip sell-off erases 500 billion in value as fears mount. Pinterest tumbles on stiff ad competition, tariff-driven pressures. China ends levies on U.S. farm goods after fentanyl duties cut. Okay. Let's see. Palantir's epic run gives the market reason to sell. Obamacare premiums are up 1,000% a month. Gee whiz. Should you enroll now or wait for subsidies? Global stocks slip as U.S. sell-off over AI valuation spreads. Analysis futuristic quantum computing stocks take speculators on roller coaster ride. Norway suspends wealth fund ethics rules to shield big tech. Nixie says it no longer has commitment to buy Sabadell unit, but is open to new deal. Oil steadies as traders weigh U.S. stockpiles and supply outlook. The Big Short's Michael Burry is back with cryptic messages and two massive bets. So he's probably betting Palantir and Nvidia, right?
AMD reports the stock is slipping here about 2.5%, at least initially in the after hours. Of course, Cody, the stock had just a remarkable move heading into the print. But I'm curious, Cody, just get your first take on these results.
I think, Josh, they're really strong numbers across the board. $500 million upside in revenue, decent EPS beat, $400 million guide. And it's really, it's largely on the strength of their gaming and client business. Gaming was up 181% annually. That's on the refresh of the Sony and Microsoft game systems. Clients up only 50% annually, but servers are up another 22%. So they're continuing to take share from Intel in the server market. But overall, I thought it was a strong number.
Cody, I mentioned the move the stock had into the print. It was up around, Cody, 50% over the past month. And you could chalk that up, I think, to AMD making these really headline-making deals, right, with big names, with OpenAI and with Oracle. And I'm just curious, Cody, when you were talking to your clients about those deals, how are you walking them through it? What it means for AMD long-term, financially and strategically?
Long term, I think it's extremely positive. You've got Oracle, you've got OpenAI that's now coming to the table there. The big concern had been whether or not AMD could become a real alternative to NVIDIA's AI accelerators. And I think with these new agreements with Oracle and OpenAI, you're starting to see the market's answer to that. And I think that with the new rollout of their new systems, their new MI400 platform, their new Helios rack scale system. This all comes out in 26, and this is AMD's real answer to NVIDIA's NVL platform that leads the market today. And so this will be the first opportunity we really get to see AMD compete head-to-head with NVIDIA, but the market's already answering that with customers already starting to line up.
AMD trying to fight.
Turning to more earnings, EV maker Rivian is out with its third quarter numbers. Let's get to Yahoo Finance's autos reporter, Praz Sumeranian, with the latest. Praz.
Yeah, stock up. Your Rivian reported results that beat estimates as it navigates the loss of the federal EV tax credit and builds towards the future with its R2. So for the quarter, Rivian reported revenue of $1.56 billion versus $1.49 billion, up 78% compared to a year ago as a pull forward in deliveries boosted sales. So Rivian posted a loss per share of 65 cents versus 71 expected. Adjusted EBITDA coming in at $602 million, a loss there, but posted a gross profit of $24 million, snapping last quarter's loss after 2 straight quarters of gross profits for the automaker before that. Now, the company also maintained its full-year loss projection as trade wars, loss of the EV tax credit remain complicating factors. They reiterated its adjusted 2025 full-year EBITDA loss in a range of $2 to $2.25 billion, with capex of $1.8 to $1.9 billion. As for the R2, Rivian says the mid-size SUV is still slated for release in the first half of 2026 with a body shop and paint shop, among others, ready for the next steps of production. Josh, might be your next new car.
I think you're onto something right there. Why not add one more, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Praz.
So for normal investors who are looking at this question, what do they do about it? In other words, like, if you hold tech stocks, do you just keep holding them? Is it just a question of not adding at these levels?
It's a great question. We have an investment in a lot of these large cap dividend tech stocks, and they've grown very large. So we are scaling them back a little bit for a variety of reasons. One being the valuations, and we just don't want to be so concentrated in the tech market because people forget back in March and April this year, the NASDAQ was down 20%. So the market could take this momentum and shift to the negative, and people could get really hurt. So we wouldn't be piling into these investments. And depending on your tax situation, we would lighten up a little bit here. We definitely would take a little profit. I mean, again, we're not saying get out of them, but you got to manage the downside risk. The valuations here at 40, 50, 200 times. How much more do you expect to happen? And is it asymmetrical? I think there's more downside than upside in the near term, but the momentum is crazy right now.
Momentum is crazy, yeah.
Well, and you said maybe going out the risk spectrum a little bit. You didn't say the word bubble, but I'll say the word bubble because it's been uttered by almost everybody lately. Is that, are we looking at that level of speculative behavior, do you think?
When I say no, You know, the big companies today, the ROE these companies are throwing off. I actually went through the earnings that came out last week, and I was looking at the free cash flow that these companies are throwing off. It's like nothing I've ever seen. If you take free cash flow, just the companies, it was a Google, Meta, Microsoft, and you look at the amount of not just revenues, not just cash flow, free cash flow after you've spent on CapEx, they're creating major companies every quarter. And then the multiple, I mean, you look at they're trading at 20, 25, 26 times earnings. Now, you know, I see a lot of deals, particularly in the private markets, that are no cash flow, no revenue for the next 2 or 3 years. You know, and by the way, some are good business models. My guess is most of them will fall away, similar to what you saw in the actual bubble back in 2000, when you didn't have any cash flow, you certainly didn't have any revenues. So I do see some of that in the private markets. But generally in the public markets, I don't think it's overdone.
Are the private credit markets, I mean, let's leave aside the sort of tricolor first brands situations that we saw. Elsewhere, do you think there are problems in private credit?
You know, from a systemic point of view, no. We do a load of financing in real estate, commercial, resi, bilateral credit, bilateral finance. Generally not. I will say things that get auctioned off, like whenever there's a big financing that gets auctioned off, or somebody wants to put their name on something that gets auctioned, like I look at the levels, sometimes it's through the public markets, and think, why would you ever do that? There is some stuff, and there around the edges in like financing software, you know, what's going to happen with software and AI, there's some stuff around the edges that I think are tricky, but not a systemic, you know, like we saw in prior decades.
So right now, Rivian is the only thing that I see that's green that they've pretty much talked about. It's up 3%.
Welcome to Trader Talk, where we dish out the latest Wall Street buzz to keep your portfolio sizzling. I'm Kenny Polcari, and I'm coming to you live from the Yahoo Finance headquarters here in the heart of New York City, a global hub where deals are made, fortunes are built, and the next market move is always just around the corner. Coming up, I'm going to share my thoughts on the midterm elections. I'm going to chat with my very good friend Rich Ducat, and I'm going to share my orecchietti con ragu bianco. It's delicious. You're going to thank me later. Now, let's jump into my big take.
Let's see. Anything else we want to see here? My boy going into kitchen, cooking, and everything. I'm like, bro, chill out. We just want another headlines, bro. All right, so we talked about AMD. Rivian is the only thing I see green right now. Not a whole lot of volume on that. Let's see. BlackRock, AI bubble. Yeah, a bunch of things are down. All right, let me look at the overall market here. NQ, we'll flip that bad boy up. All right, so the NQ has definitely made a move down from where it was at 26,000 and now has really came all the way down to just sit right above the 2500s or 25,000s. Nice little trend down. Really don't know where the bottom is for this one. It double bottomed up here, but maybe it'll have to form some type of true bottom down here. I'll have to go back to the daily chart to actually see where exactly it is. Let's go over here to NQ daily chart. Okay. NQ daily chart. We have still been on a grind. It had a gap here where it had gapped up on one of these days and has come and filled that gap. Bottom side of this was 25,271, and it is it below that now? No, it's still sitting above that. So we'll see if any kind of bottom forms there or if it wants to test some of these other previous levels. Again, like you said, or like we heard them say, some people are trying to lighten up. You know, it is what it is, risk management and all. But I'm thinking that hedge funds and bigger institutions are just continuing to either pile in long or short, and they'll lighten up either way, depending on the news. So I think that either way, somebody is getting in heavy. Like we saw the bet that someone was making was on Palantir and Nvidia to be going down, and that is yet to be seen. Let me go over here to Rivian. Rivian continues to go up here. So on the daily chart for Rivian, closed yesterday at 1250 and now is at 1304. So right at this little gap fill level. It's at 1250 and it's now gapped up, and we'll see how that ends up going. But it doesn't have a whole lot of volume for something to be for it to be green and all of that. And it's one of the few that are green on today. Okay, let's jump back over here to those small caps. SMX was leading for the small caps here from Dublin, Ireland. Definitely has quite a bit of a downtrend that is fighting. Trading right now at around 208s. I had marked some levels up here, but these levels aren't really making much sense right now to me. So they're not super obvious, nothing super obvious on this one. All right, and then the other one was RDHL, Israeli stock. Okay, closed at 108 on yesterday and is trading around 139. So still did not break over this 160 level. Yesterday, we saw Hertz take people to the moon, HTZ. We watched it. It was at like, it was trying to hold $6. And it ended up holding that $6 and going up to 7. So about $1. Would you stop? About $1 move on that. So we saw it in pre-market trying to hold that 6. And once it did hold that 6, I mean, it was a nice one clean move and then a whole bunch of chop, basically. From 6 up to 693. Not quite 7. Then a pullback to 650. So a 40-cent pullback and then back up and tipped out at 7. So Hertz was doing his thing on yesterday. Did you guys end up trading Hertz, or what was y'all's play from yesterday? I did not take any trades yesterday. I did not find any small caps that were meeting criteria that had volume or anything. It's just like, I'm just going to wait to see where the value is. And I really didn't expect that much of a continued pullback on today, but it happened. So here we sit. AMD with quite a bit of a drop off there. First clean move 249 up to 257 at the open yesterday. And I bet people thought this was going to be just a simple dip and didn't expect to be down $20 per share almost from where it was. BQ pumping. Man, BQ has been tripping these past couple of days. Had this big pop up to 72 and now it's popping up here again. Just a couple of major fall offs. But we really want to see, heavy volume to be able to get in and out. A lot of the trades that I've been taking, they've been on light volume. They've been the idea that I'm looking for, but the light volume gets me killed because when I'm trying to sell out, you know, you got to sell where the sellers are. And so if the sellers are at the bid and the bid's like, let's say it's a 40-cent spread, you're losing 40 cents per share just to get out. All right, let's see. AMD beta IPO. Let's go look at the most recent. Oh, not Trump tariffs, big test in Supreme Court arrives. When is that happening? And also, is there anybody speaking today? Today is the 5th, November 5th, so no speakers on today. Looking to experts for how the Supreme Court will rule on tariffs. They aren't sure either. This week's highly anticipated arguments from around President Trump's use of emergency powers have many calling the case a toss-up.
You have a Supreme Court case happening, which we'll get to in a second, and we have an election today also, Ben. And what should we be watching in those, or I shouldn't say we have an election, we have elections because it's a number of state contests.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see, I bring together both this Supreme Court case on tariffs and these elections as I think we're going to see there's going to be a lot of consequences for what Trump's political landscape for his economic agenda over the next year are. On tariffs, this is a Supreme Court case that will decide whether the lion's share of Trump's tariffs are legal. So that has major implications. What we're going to get tomorrow is arguments. So we're going to see the mood of the justices on this, but not a final decision. And on elections, what we're going to see is whether kind of the moderate side of the Democratic Party is ascendant or the more progressive side of it. We have a moderate candidates in Virginia and New Jersey who have had a tougher time, but they're still expected to win, perhaps narrowly in some cases. And obviously in New York, we have Zohran Mamdani. The margins there are going to matter. If the moderates overperform in Virginia and Mamdani underperforms, that's really telling about kind of what the shape of the Democrats are for the next year, as well as what the political reality will be for Trump, both on tariffs but on his larger economic agenda on all these various fronts that we're talking about up for the next year, up until the next midterm elections, which are about exactly 1 year's time.
Where are you looking next? What sectors and what setups do you think that investors should be aware of, whether it's healthcare? Listen, I think healthcare has been an underperforming sector. I think that's going to be a sector to watch. Basic materials. I love industrials. But tell me what you're thinking, or tell me what are the charts telling you?
Well, you know, Kenny, kind of what you said, momentum can go on longer than you can remain solvent if you're on the wrong side of it here. I don't think the momentum is quite over with this whole AI situation here. So many of those companies still would be worth examining here and keeping in your mind the bigger ones like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Google. You know, those are the names that we all know. Then there's the smaller ones too, like CoreWeave, Mobileye, UiPath, Upstart, Big Bear AI. Those are also ones that you could consider and keep on your radar. Certainly not a recommendation or anything like that one, but these are the companies that are the major players in this space right now. I also would say too, you know, some of the other areas that really interest me, as we said, this rare earth sector, we're seeing increased government involvement, investment in this sector that could turn fortunes for a company literally overnight into a huge change here. But I mean, think about how prevalent computer chips and everything is in our life right now. We need them for our current way of life. As I said, I'm fascinated by electronics. I watched a video the other day. Someone took apart a simple vape box, you know, like some people used to vape nicotine. It had the amount of electrical components and electronics inside it. It had a microphone that senses when you're inhaling, so it knows how to activate the heating element. The amount of technology and intricacy in such a trivial object is kind of where we're at right now.
Listen,
so, I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
I've got those. I got a pair of the Meta sunglasses made by Ray-Ban, and so when you look at the arms, they're a little bit cloudy, but they're clear enough that you can see, if you hold it up to like the sunlight, you can see all the chips that are located in the arm that, you know, allows me to talk to it. The microphone that if I put on music, I can hear it in my ears. If I talk to it and give it a command and say, you know, give me directions to XYZ, it hears me talking, and it goes and he searches for what I ask, and then it tells it to me back in my ear. But it's amazing to see just in the arm, on the one side of my head, all the little chips that are in there. It's really crazy. Welcome to.
All right, tariff watchers have had this Wednesday circled on their calendars for weeks now, as the Supreme Court is set to hear arguments on the legality and of the authority President Trump has used to impose the lion's share of his tariffs. That's in part because observers are split about how things will play out once deliberations begin and ahead of a decision that could come before the end of the year. The case, formerly known as Learning Resources Inc. versus Trump, is one that experts in both the legal and trade space are calling a toss-up. And it's made all the more fraught by Trump's keen personal interest in the outcome and the White House public pressure campaign already in evidence. So maybe that's why people are kind of sitting back here on today. This big thing is coming out to see, hey, is this thing legal? If the system comes out and says, hey, this isn't legal, let me see something. The outcomes for this case. So let's go and do possible outcomes. Case Learning Resources Inc. versus Trump. Learning Resources. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, so the key legal questions, does IEEPA authorize the president to impose tariffs? If yes, is that delegation of power constitutional under Article 1, Section 8, Taxing and Spending Clause? Number 3, was IEEPA lawfully triggered in this instance, or was the emergency declaration pretextual? So possible outcomes: court upholds Trump's tariffs, court strikes down tariffs. So let's see, legal impact of them upholding the tariffs validates a broad presidential authority under IEEPA to impose tariffs during declared emergencies. Market impact, let's see, short-term volatility, higher costs for importers, potential retaliation. Other countries may respond with counter tariffs affecting global supply chains. Executive precedent, future presidents may use IEEPA more aggressively for economic measures. Number 2, if the court strikes down tariffs as unauthorized by IEEPA, it will limit the scope of IEEPA, reinforcing that tariff authority lies with Congress. Market impact, let's see, relief for importers, tariffs would be lifted, reducing cost for affected industries, education, toys, wine, electronics. Stabilization of trade relations could ease tensions with Canada, Mexico, China, and others. Legislative response, Congress may seek to clarify or amend IEEPA or other trade laws. Number 3, the court finds IEEPA delegation unconstitutional. So number 1 was they uphold the Trump's tariffs. Number 2 is they strike it down as unauthorized. Number 3, they find it unconstitutional. So what would be the legal impact? Major shift in separation of powers doctrine could invalidate other executive actions under IEEPA. market impact, broad economic ripple. So potential rollback of various sanctions and tariffs imposed under IEEPA, uncertainty in foreign policy tools may affect how the U.S. responds to international threats economically. Congressional reassertion. So likely push for new legislation to define emergency powers more clearly. Number 4 outcome. Court avoids merits rules on procedural grounds. And this would be a delayed resolution. Lower court rulings may stand temporarily. Market impact, just continued uncertainty and mixed enforcement. All right. So those are the 4 possible outcomes. They uphold the tariffs, they strike it down, they mark it as unconstitutional, or they just delay their decision. So we'll see how that goes coming up. I'm still looking for more of these little small caps out here. And the only thing that I'm seeing pop up with some volume, RDHL still up. SMX continued to make its way downward, and then BQ looking. Let me refresh this. Nope, still those. Okay. Anyway, so there is some news coming on today that could affect how the market trades. And a lot of people may be sitting on their hands today. I don't know why they choose Wednesdays to do this, hump days, but yeah, good day to find yourself on the wrong side of a move. Policy stakes that reach. I would love to see small caps kind of get some kind of ignition today where they don't really care about what's going on with the tariffs and just go. But is that going to happen? I'm not sure. That's going to take some definite determination by retail and by some larger institutions to absolutely ignore what's going on today. And I don't think professional traders will be ignoring that kind of news. All right, so back over here, let's see. McDonald's U.S. sales beat, but earnings missed the mark. Palantir, Epic Run, we saw that earlier. Snack Wraps return helps boost McDonald's third quarter sales. Cybersecurity attack on Marks and Spencer. Lightspeed is going to be pretty expensive, isn't it? Their commissions, they definitely hit you up with commissions on Lightspeed, Hebrew, right? Counterattack on Marks and Spencer slices profits by more than half. Okay, so they had a cybersecurity attack. Let's see what they got going on here. London British retailer Marks and Spencer saw its half-year profit more than half as a result of a cybersecurity attack that brought its online business to a grinding halt. In a statement Wednesday, M&S said its underlying pre-tax profits tumbled 55.4% to 184.1 million pounds, so about 240 million in 6 months to September 27th. They got hacked. I wonder what happened. The hack cost it 324 million pounds in lost sales, but that it was able to recover 100 million. Yeah, cybersecurity, they got cracked. That's what happened. All right, but yeah, those commissions, I don't know. I've looked into Lightspeed before, but I mean, with the way I trade, you know, if you're doing fast trades and you need to be in now, out now, I mean, maybe it's worth, and you have a proven strategy, maybe it's worth it to be in, out. You're in and out. You can be the first one in there, and when you click the button, you're actually getting filled. Because on TOS, you know, sometimes if you're trying to do in and out, you click the button and it's sitting there, you know, looking at you and you looking at it, and y'all both trying to figure out what's going on. So, I mean, I think if it makes sense for your business model, I think statistically, it could be a good move. Okay, so everybody's still talking about Palantir falling off. Only thing I still see up green is Hertz is up very small green, and Rivian is still up 4%, around $13, but isn't getting a super push on volume, only sitting with 150,000 shares. AMD is the thing that's pretty much sucking up the most volume here. AMD making a move, so it hit a bottom here at 234, then at 235, and making a little pop up here. Has 1 million shares traded during pre-market, which is pretty out of the norm for a pre-market trading on AMD, but it was at the top of the news. So let me see. So you said because I was up 10,000, don't think or swim. By the time I sold my position, I was at 8,000. Oh boy. Yeah, $2,000. I mean, that's that TOS tax. That's that think or swim tax. You made 8,000, they made 2,000. It's a you kept what percentage of 10,000 is that? Let me see, you kept 8,000 divided by 10,000. It's about 80% of your profit, you know. It's pretty good. 80%. Oh, you was down. Oh, okay, down 8,000 for 10,000. Okay, got you. Yeah, so you know they gave you 80%, but they took theirs. U.S. stock futures. How long were you in the trade though? Was it like how fast was the trade? Is it like a 1 minute scalp or 5 minute scalp? How long was it? Was it high volume too, and you still got sold out $2,000 lower on plenty of volume? 'Cause that would be crazy. If there's people there and you still getting sold out like that, could be pretty bad. Charts. IMR, so that one was up this morning, did a round trip on IMRN. Rivian still moving up a little bit. $8,000 in a minute. I don't know, man. That sounds pretty good, man. They definitely had to get something off the top. They're like, wait a minute. I remember I saw, I don't know if that was last month or the month before, where they were kind of cracking down on high frequency traders at some banks, at TOS and things like that. I don't know if, I'm guessing that didn't affect you if you're still trading at TOS, but I know some of those folks that take, you know, I don't know how many trades they take. They take a lot of trades per day, like 200, 500 trades a day, and they're just, you know, micro scalping in and out, in and out, in and out. They were kind of cracking down on that, but I don't know if they continue to push that effort. I mean, I just don't see, I understand that they lose money sometimes within those transactions, but it's like for the most part, don't they make money? Hey, I don't know. But it seems like they kind of fell out of the news, all of that push for that. So I haven't seen any news on that since I think a month or so ago or something like that. They're like, oh man, you can't be taking all those trades out here. 500 something trades in a day. Actually, I think those people were taking more than 500. They're probably taking close to 1,000, over 1,000 trades, to be honest. Very large size entries and jumping right on out in seconds. The old what is it called? The breakout or bailout trading. Good morning, Donnell. We're going over Hebrew was telling us how he donated to TOS, and you know, he keeps the business and the company alive. So I ought to thank him for keeping our platform stable and giving us a reason to continue to trade, man. EQ continue to act crazy out here. Up 20%. Let me show y'all. So this is basically what my watch list is looking like right now. Watch list. So seeing SMX with 20 million, RDHL with 11 million, BQ barely up there, and then these two lower movers, looking for them to at least get 1 million shares traded, because I've been kind of jumping the gun on that. It's been costing me, so I don't want to be getting accosted. The most trades you take in a day is probably 10 on a good day. Yeah, you got way less trades than those high frequency traders. Then they be out here, they be just rotating, boy. Like, golly. I guess you have to know your fatigue point with trading like that. Like, how long can you actually do that accurately before your fatigue catches up with you and you start making bad decisions? Or do you take so many trades that you don't care about your bad decisions? You just like, if I lose, you know, I lose 10 cents here, maybe 5 cents here or whatever, and just be right back in. I don't know. Seems like a hard trading style of on the mental. And doing that daily, very hard trading style. Five things to know before the stock market opens. I guarantee they're going to just show us everything that we just looked at. Let's see. 5 things to know before the stock market opens. This is Terry Lane. He does this every day. He's pretty consistent here. We read his yesterday as well. Number one, stock futures pointing lower after markets plunge. Number two, ADP employment. ADP employment report comes as lawmakers look to end the shutdown. AMD shares falling after record results. Super Micro computer shares drop after earnings miss. Pinterest shares plummet after earnings miss estimates. And that's pretty much it. That's all he's got. Let me see. Is Super Micro sucking up volume to the downside? A little bit. It's got 1 million shares up there. What was that other one? Pinterest, pins. Go ahead and notate these down. Okay, so pins isn't really that bad. Okay, let me see. Pins, SMCI, AMD already got. ADP. Okay. Let's see if I can. So I got this watch list. This is the watch list of the things that were named today in the news, and the things that we've seen over the last couple of days. AMD and SMCI leading in volume in the larger caps that were mentioned in the news. AMD down 2%, SMCI down 7%, Palantir behind that with less volume. Then Pinterest, and Rivian is still up 4%. So, but look at that volume. That volume's just not moving. People are way more interested in AMD and SMCI. Let me go back up here to I probably need to make a new scene for that too. Let's go back here. SMX, just trash, man. Dublin, Ireland, trash. Give me more. So multiple times coming up here to fill this little gap here at 406 on BQ. No current catalyst that I'm seeing with anything that's over 1 million shares traded. So no hot sauce out here. Pinterest down 18% on the day. Dropped from $33 down here to 26. I don't think Pinterest, a lot of those types of picture companies and software companies, they don't pay any dividends. You just got to hold those and hope that it goes up because they ain't paying you nothing. $17 ago. 21 minutes ago, Palantir has no ceiling. Yeah, right.
What is the total addressable market for a company like Palantir? And is there anyone really competing with them directly in what they do?
So there is no ceiling for Palantir anytime soon. Just to give you proportion, again, they're more than 4 billion run rate. Adobe's 20 billion run rate. Salesforce 40 billion. Oracle 50 billion. There's nothing limiting Palantir's growth. That's part of the excitement. That's part of how investors are justifying this very high multiple. And then in terms of competition, everybody's trying to do what Palantir is doing, which is help companies get to their AI goals, and nobody is succeeding as well. And it's not an accident. Palantir is an overnight success story, 20 years in the making. They do some things extraordinarily well. They help companies and government agencies collect disparate data sources, combine them so you can use AI without compromising the privacy and confidentiality of those data sources. They give companies the soup to nuts service in terms of all the software components, all the services components, instead of those companies having to cobble that together from different software companies and third-party consulting and internal IT. Those are two very unique capabilities that really nobody else is doing, and are actually kind of hard to replicate. That's why Palantir is doing so much better than anybody else. And again, the sky's the limit because at their size, they can continue to grow at these rates for many years.
Old Palantir.
So for normal investors,
Old Palantir pulling through the dirt and grime in AI. All right, BQ turnaround there, retesting the $4 again, taking quite a bit of a little dump there at the 410s, up 23%. It's got 1 million shares traded, but I'm thinking it's going to see some competition come the open. And Palantir isn't even down a whole lot. It's only down -1% right now. I don't know if it's going to make further moves down. It hasn't reached 1 million shares yet, but yeah, it's looking at the daily chart here. Daily chart. Palantir was up here at 207, took a dip down here to 191. Bottom of this was 185, right into this previous little gap level. It does have another gap down here, 182. Don't know if it's going to go ahead and fill that, but I mean, it's got a lot of upside potential. It's just been grinding higher and higher and higher, facilitating those AI services that the guy was just talking about. It's crazy how much goes on before the market starts and how many videos and information is flooding the market. And you just, I mean, you just come in, look at it, gauge the market, do a temperature test, and, move forward. There's nothing you can do to change it. You just have to adjust. Adjust, adjust, adjust. What's up, Lot 19 Capital? Lot 19 Capital. What you let me think. Have I seen you before? What's your what are you into? You into stocks? You into crypto? You into what you into in here? Crypto, stocks, options, forex, whatever it is. Right now, we're just kind of getting a taste test of the market. We know that there's going to be a hearing today on the different components of Trump's tariffs, if they're legal, if they're not legal, if it's just straight up unconstitutional, if they're going to delay their decision. So I'm going to be looking for that today. Palantir, some of the names that we saw called out was AMD, SMCI, Palantir, Pinterest, Rivian. And those are the ones that were just kind of like at the forefront of everything. So I want to see if they start soaking up volume on today as well. AMD coming back up here. So the previous level that it kind of stopped at was 245.45. Stocks, bonds, and ETFs. Nice. ETFs. Everybody has been getting more into those ETFs for sure. I just kind of buy them when they're at pretty good prices and just hold them forever. Really, I just don't even think about them. Just buy them and let them sit. Let them perform for you. Let's see. Yeah, we're right now we're looking for some small caps, but with the news that we've seen today, I think that small caps may get overshadowed with some of these other bigger movers, and that's why I kind of keep them notated to see, okay, is volume pouring in over here or over there? I just wanted to put them all in a bucket and just be able to peek over into that bucket or that watch list and say, where's the volume? Is it on low floats? Is it on mid caps? Is it on higher stuff? Where is the volume? RDHL continued to go down. Went up there to 169 and has made its way all the way down to 130s. BQ did not get past the $4. I'm just stopping in that area. Then SMX continued to pile down as well. That's the only thing that I had to kind of fix myself, because I started with like thinking about day trading and faster trades and things like that, and it kind of messed up my mindset when it came to longer term trades, because I would get into them and I'd be like, oh man, this thing hasn't moved in, you know, these couple of days, these weeks or whatever, and I was like, man, let me just go and get out. Then I get out, I did the research, got the idea, and then I get out and now it's going up. I'm like, so with long term, I had to fix myself and really be like, you know what? Let's get in on this idea. I know what the idea is. I have it written down. Let it play. Let it play. Stay away from the sell button. Just let the idea play out. If it's a good idea and you did your research, shouldn't it be, you know, something that people are looking into? If not, hey, you can choose in the future to either add to the position or just leave the position as it is, really, because I don't even, a lot of times, unless it's just doing like it pops through the roof, I'm not going to be just taking profit at a loss, especially not a small loss. If I'm down $50 on something, that's okay. I'm gonna let it sit. I might add to it. You know what I mean? That is perfecto. Because usually during times like what we've seen here recently with this NQ diving like this, and Bitcoin is diving as well. Let me go over to Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin, we see diving down as well. It came all the way down here to right under 100K, right under there, and popped back up back to 102. And does that scare me? Nah, I'm good. I'd rather be adding. I actually added last, was that last night or at some point, added to a couple of positions that I was already holding, and, you know, just letting it grow. Because Bitcoin is one of those, I feel like it's akin to the SPY, where it just has been going up. It's been trending upwards. Now, yeah, it may have some kind of dip down, but do I think it's going to come back down to 50K? That's going to be a hard push down. You know, do I think it's going to come back to 20K? That's going to be a hard push down. I'm thinking that it's more akin to the SPY, where we just see ebbs and flows as people get more and more confident in crypto, more and more confident in, you know, these different types of systems, swapping out their coins, using the mechanisms, the different wallets and things, the different ledgers that allow you to connect multiple wallets to do even easier transactions. I think people are getting more confident with the idea of crypto. But yeah, as that happens, I'm going to be in there. I'm going to be in there like swimwear. Let's see. So Lot Capital says, I'm reading the same one. Yeah. Okay, so he says, okay, long-term windows. What's your average hold on a long-term position? Forever. I'll start a position very small and just cost average, add a little bit high, add a little bit low, add a little bit in the middle, just keep adding as it continues to move. And if it's performing well, if it's performing over my original entry, my original kind of average price that I wanted, hey, I'll continue to add. If it drops, it is what it is. But for the most part, these don't really you know, the crypto and things like that don't really have a lot of like the traditional stock splits and things like that. If they drop, they usually drop on catalyst. Something is going wrong with the actual project, and that's why like a project that is actually doing real world or has real world applications, whether that is implementing AI infrastructure, implementing cybersecurity methods or methodologies, implementing into automotives, if they're working along with mineral extraction, gold and silver and all of that stuff. I like real world applications for cryptos. Of course, we all like faster transactions and how they're trying to tokenize different assets like, like AMD or different stocks that can be tokenized. And if you own the crypto of the stock, you actually own the stock. So, when they do these reverse splits or they try to increase the amount of shares on the market, I'm thinking one day they may be selling, oh, what's this thing? XR. Okay, well, anyway, they may be selling crypto onto the open market instead of offering stocks. The offering might be a crypto offering. Hey, come by, we're putting out, I don't know, 100 million in this crypto token. If you own this, you actually own the company, and the transactions are way faster. You don't have all these wait times and things like that. It's just boom, boom, boom. And you can use that. Let's say if you do hold AMD, you can trade a AMD token for another crypto. You can trade, however you want to, between crypto and stocks, tokenized stocks. So I think that's where we're going to end up going at some point in the future. But we'll see. We'll see. It's just opinions for right now. But I know that speed is power, or speed takes power, but speed is also can be power once you get it the momentum going. Yes, sir. Oh, I said long-term trade. Yeah. My bad. I mean, it is still technically a trade. All of the transactions are trades, but I guess, yeah, long-term trade, long-term position. I don't know. The semantics. All right, but yeah. So basically, during pre-market, we go through the market analysis, do our due diligence, see what the market is doing, if there's any small caps to be played. This month, I think we're still yet to see the true the heating up of the market. I think there's still a lot of people sitting on their hands trying to see how the government shutdown is going to be going, how the tariffs and all of these deals that are being made and written up and all of that is going to be affecting everything. And so I think once we get a little bit more clarity, I think the heat's going to come back to the small caps. But at this point, since the small caps have been a little icy, it's like, all right, let's just take our time and figure out where things are. Okay, I don't know what's going on with XR. Does this thing have catalyst or something? XR. Looks like it did a little bit of a round trip. Went up here to 271. Came back down to 188. What is your catalyst? So it says Beyond Air secures up to 32 million to accelerate growth. It enters agreements for a 12 million promissory note, and a 20 million equity line of credit with Streeterville Capital. Let's see. So pro forma cash equivalents, restricted cash, and marketable securities of 22.9 million as of September 30th, 2025, including 12 million from the promissory note. So they are getting some capital flowing. Let's continue to look through strategic cash infusion. Okay. What else do they have? Okay, signs a 32 million financing agreement. I don't know how good that's going to do, but we know that we are already seeing these wicks. Now Sometimes those wicks can tell us there's still indecision. People don't really know if they want to attack or not, especially with it looking this flat. It went up to what, 272. Let's look at a daily chart on XR. Up 19%, just kind of piddling around. So it closed at 186 down here on yesterday, and it is currently trading at 226, but went up to 271. It had a little ridge out here, but I wouldn't even, that's not really a peak, obvious peak. It's just kind of like a double top up here, came up here to 278 twice. So I would call that maybe a level of possible resistance at that 270. So let's see. So possible daily resistance at the 270s. Above that, we have an obvious peak out here of 478. I don't even know if it can get out there, but that's a daily peak. That'll be a crazy push up there. Daily peak level. Peak daily level. And then inside of here, it's not really any obvious things. Let's back up a little bit more. I mean, this one's even higher, so it would have to get up to 479 before it can try to go up there. But yeah, not sure what it wants to do right now. XR is kind of just pumping up with just showing a little bit of structure here. Up 25%. It has 3 million shares traded on it. And for these small caps, I usually just try to find the idea on them. Now this is a cheaper small cap, so you know, I don't know if we're gonna see any of the higher price ones, but I'm looking for ideas to be proven or to fail. I'm looking to buy low if I'm gonna buy one anyway. So at this point, this is kind of at the peak. It's trying to make a show us where the trend is. Or it could be just going flat. We did see these wicks out here that were showing us that there was a little bit of indecision popping back into these ranges. But then we see this break above these peaks. So we'll see if we continue to see these high topping tails and lower tails, or if it starts to get cleaned up. Usually on Wednesday, it stays consistent with the wicks. So we'll see if we see more wicks come through. Let's see, do I see anything else? That one's the only one that I see really making its way up and looking bullish. Everything else looks dead. IMRN, Ruby looks dead. MSPR, dead. BQ fell off of $4, dead. RDHL, dead. So XAIR is the only thing that looks like it has a little bit of life. If it's the best thing that's going, you know, I'm like, let's just see if anything else comes up. But it does have, it looks like it's getting some volume. People are glad that they're making money, but you know, these wicks, it could easily transition back down here. The low side of this, it started at what, 186, came back down and made a little bit higher low at the 189s. But at this point, this little trend here, we were to go from the bottom of this little pre-market bottom, where could it end up stopping? And also the point of control. Point of control right now is at 229. And then on the 5 minutes at 228. And on the 15 minutes at 194. So let's go ahead and box that thing in. So 229 down to the 194. So where's 194? 194 right here. Up to 229. We'll see how it trades above these points of control. Now the point of control is basically a highly traded level. It really needs to get thinner than this. I would like for it to drag some of this, some of it up, because that's a really big point of control box. We'll see how it holds this level. So the previous little idea that was formed here, for it to break down $2.11, that's probably going to be looking pretty bad. But we'll see if it continues to hold this trend. So I pretty much just take the 3 points of control from all of them and plot them out, and we'll see how it trades within these levels. If it makes sense. It's only up 18% right now. So kind of slipping down through the cracks with 6 million shares traded, coming right down to that previous idea. We'll see if it pops off of there, which it did a little bit. And we'll see how it trades. I don't know if it can hold this up. Definitely to the middle of the box. And we'll see if it ends up still 229, 218, and 224 now. So not in the ones anymore. So it did move up. So let's go ahead and activate this. And what's the bottom? Bottom is 222 now. Oh, well, it's under the box. So it actually ended up moving up. It's 222. 222. And we'll see how it trades around these levels. 222. 229 on the 1 minute, 222 on the 5 minute, and 224 on the 15 minute. I was kind of waiting for a more narrow look there. Only up 16%. Got a little bounce off of this, but that doesn't mean it's going to just hold. We'll see how it does back up there towards the 220s. Little peek off of that box there. 7 million shares traded, so it is kind of working its way up here when it comes to volume. But I don't know if it's going to be the thing. Came back down to where the body candles are here on the 1 minute, right at that 220. This is the first idea that I was looking at. It does have a downtrend. If we come from the top here, coming down. Oh, no, not that. Get the other one. It does have a downtrend here. Get the tip of this. The tippity tip. Let's see where that crossover is. We'll see what ideas are respected here. If it wants to break down, break up, or whatever. But yeah, looking like 220 is that level of struggle. Anything else waking up here? SMX? Nope. Okay, coming back up and forcing its way back into this level, but we're seeing those wicks. See if it closes under the 220s. And the range is also getting smaller if it doesn't open up here. The range is about, what, moving like 2-3 cents. Top of the box here should cause it some issues at that 229. That's the top of the point of control where it was. Let's see if they turn it around back towards the bottom of the box, which is at the 222s. But the more trading that comes in here, the more it moves all of the points of controls to this level, 227. So right now, on the 15 minute, the point of control is 227, 5 minute, 228, and then here on the 1 minute, 227. So literally all of them are right in this level where the majority of the trading has come. It's going back towards the bottom of that box. And to break down this original uptrend, ideally, we'll need to break down 217s. Right around 217, 215, somewhere up in there. Somewhere up in there. 8 million shares traded. Popping out the bottom of this box with about 22 up to 29. 7 cents of range here. Very tight little box. 220s. Popped off of our previous idea, trying to reclaim and stay within the box. Hmm. Heading towards 10 million shares traded. AMD, did you continue going down? Continues to kind of just go sideways for right now. It is 7:20. We almost have an hour left to the open. All right, so more challenging off of this previous uptrend. Bottom side of this, a breakdown of 219 is going to probably give it a little bit of pressure to the downside, and we'll get a new idea here. But this point, very tight little range here. Has to make a decision either to pop out 225 or pop down. But some pretty big numbers out here on the level twos, very thickly traded. And this right here is like 50-50 trading because you only have one confirmed little uptrend here. You didn't really get an uptrend within this uptrend yet. It could do it. It keeps holding into this box. And the top side is up here at 229, but there's no real like underlying confirmation of even this trend or this top one. What state am I doing my analysis from? The state of Mississippi. The state of Mississippi down south. Pop the top of this box here, finding a little bit of pressure there. So the bottom of this candle is 220. All right, so this is going to be a what's this, 237. So holding over this box, holding this top 220. But again, we don't really have an underlying structure to confirm that this thing is going to hold up. This is a lower high. Previous high was up here at 244. Hitting the body of that previous candle, finding a nice little wick there. Let's see if we can get back under 230s. Risk to reward. So basically I'm usually 3-to-1. I usually trade higher price low floats, so I really don't have to oversize or anything. I'm usually, I mean, I can, like, let's say if I'm looking for, so each trade I'm looking for 30 cents on a trade, right? So first I need to find a stock that can give me 30 cents easily. XR, XAR, or whatever it is. This one, I mean, it did 30 cents on the first candle. But each of these candles, I'm looking for something that can do 30 cents in 1 or 2 candles, right? So looking for 30 cents, and I'm usually going to get either 30 cents or 2x or 3x that. So I may get 60 cents, may get 90 cents. Sometimes it bumps up even over $1. And so that's my risk to reward is usually around 30 cents. You know, if I'm looking to make 30 cents, do a 1-to-1 risk first. And then once let's say I get the 30 cents, then my stop goes to that 30-cent winner. And then if it goes up to 60 cents, then I move that stop up to the 60 cents. That's locking up 2x. If it goes up to 90 cents, then I lock up that's not locking up to 90 cents. So even if it does dump on me, I'm locking up 3x. You know what I mean? So, but first I have to find a stock that can pay me 30 cents per share easily. So am I options trading? Oh no, I started off options trading when I first started learning about the market and everything. But I mean, options, a lot of small caps don't have options. If you're options trading, you're usually trading something that's larger, like maybe AMD or something, doing an iron condor, doing some kind of covered call, covered whatever. And or you're selling your shares on the market for a premium if it stays within a certain range. For me, I haven't traded options in 2017, 18, 2000, since like 2017, 18. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's like, it's just much easier for me to just come out here, not have to worry about all of the antics of options when it comes to volatility, because options volatility is way different from stock volatility, because you're trading the volatility of derivatives, which is way more susceptible to emotion, way more susceptible to catalysts and all of that. It's super volatile. So yeah, I'm good. The other thing is, within the scope of how look like I'm making money or whatnot, this isn't my only source of income. So I have real options in real life. So I really don't need to trade options, because I actually have options to make money in multiple different ways. I'm just increasing my income with different flows of streams of income, right? And so to take on that risk of options trading just isn't a feasible business model with everything else I got going on. Xair, what in the world? So it held over the box, threw up a nice little wick up here to 253. Definitely got a nice outlier out here. Okay, so you said somebody was talking to me. I was a little distracted. So you trade stocks, correct? Yes. Yes. Trade stocks. Well, I trade multiple different things, but for day trading, yes, I trade stocks. For longer term or swing trades or things like that, I'm looking at I'm looking at all the options. Like when I see dips, I'm buying. Like I am one of those types. When I see the market going and being being very, giving us some discount prices, I'm picking it up. But yeah, so this is how traps work. We saw back here that it was giving us the wicks. It showed us the wicks, and we had no underlying support of this idea. But now we're starting to see more of the idea unfold. I know some people probably got caught up in this little teaser. I don't know if they got a chance to sell. There was a very quick 1 minute candle up to 250 and then a slam all the way back down to the bottom side of the box. Points of control right now are sitting at 228, and 227. So all of them are right around this area. And now we're seeing a new idea form. The previous bottom was here at 209. It's got another one at 189. So kind of want to see, is it going to hold up? Will it re-enter the box, or will this become new resistance here at 222s? But this is how I trade the higher price ones, looking for where the majority of the trading has happened, looking for a confirmation of an uptrend. And how I look for the confirmation of an uptrend is find an uptrend and then find another uptrend in that uptrend. And then I'm like, okay, it's making higher lows. We're starting to trend higher, holding higher prices. Let's see if we can play this. But this one right here, definitely showing some movement down. This first downwards idea is what it looks like it's approaching down here at the 210s. It had another one up here, neither one of those. So this is a downtrend inside of a downtrend. We'll see how that ends up holding. Coming up there to the box again, bottom side of the 213s, right under the box. Right under the box. And I'm still not seeing any other small caps come up. So this one has 13 million shares traded on it. So somebody really, really was hoping that this would go to the moon. But I was noticing these wicks out here, and that's one thing that I just stopped not noticing. Like overlooking wicks, I'm like, this could get nasty, and that's why I'm looking to buy low, because I'd rather buy a rejection down here than buy up here and be in this rejection, be down 50 cents per share right now, so or 40 cents per share right now, from 250 down here to 216. So if we look for the 30 cents per trade, right? This candle went from 189 up here to about 223, and it kind of closed down. So there were very small opportunities to get a 30-cent trade out of here without getting caught up in a little bit of chop. This one was 203 up to around 243. So that one, but how we know this was going to be a clean move? It hasn't been doing this move all along, right? Then another one down here came down to 211, went up to 228, smaller than getting smaller in here. This one 219 up here to around 239, even smaller. So just getting crushed under its own weight here with 13 million shares traded. Anyway, it is 7:30. Of course, I don't sit around all day looking at these. We already know what the news is going to be. We've already went over the news, and the key points today is that the tariffs are going to be challenged to see if they were constitutional, unconstitutional, or if the president actually has power to do this, which will give all other presidents after Trump the power to put in place tariffs and use tariffs in the way that he has. So we'll be looking out for that. There's a lot of indecision still in the market. Some of the key players that we talked about earlier. Let me go over here to the watch list. Key players that we talked about earlier. Is this the one? Nope, that's the regular watch list. This one, nope. This one, which one is it? Okay, let me go back to the main. Let me find it. Okay, now it is enabled. Where did you go? This one. So these are the key players that we saw on the day. AMD down, SMCI down, Palantir, Pinterest, all of these. And I wanted to see, are these things going to be sucking up the volume? And right now for large caps, they are sucking up quite a bit of volume, especially AMD with almost 3 million shares traded here in pre-market. The overall market has been down, so this is why these are down, and that's why I'm expecting people to be bearish on these stocks. I don't know if they're going to move more downwards or what, but people, I mean, they are already giving shorts a reason to be in, because guess what? They got volume, and so shorts need volume to be able to get in and out quickly. So I'll definitely keep an eye on these ones, see if they begin to become the ones on the day, and if so, they're probably going to kill the small caps. Let's go back over to the main, and we can look at this idea here. So XR, the initial downwards idea is coming right to it at $2, and kind of challenging it here. The point of control was up here, so definitely has moved away from that, and that's probably going to be a wall for the rest of the day for this little stock. And now it's under 10% up on the day with 14 million shares, so I don't even know if it's going to recover at this point. But yeah, I'm about to jump out of here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow for pre-market. We'll go through the news, see what kind of decisions were made, see if anybody comes into the market with some more enthusiasm, especially in small caps, where we can make those gains pretty quickly. And yeah, that'll be it. We also have a Discord. The Discord is free. You can join that. We continue conversations over there. PRFX just popped up. I don't know what it is. It just hit 1 million shares traded. PFRX, it says Pain reforms Deep Solar, developing Deep Solar predict within NVIDIA Connect program, featured in the Market Links watchlist interview, and announces progress towards pilot projects. Okay, this is an Israeli stock on PRFX. We've seen it before. And Israeli stocks that are leading the days, most of these days get really, really choppy. Of course, we see Wix again, and we don't know if this thing's going to actually end up cleaning up its moves. It's only $1.28. So what's the probability of this paying me 30 cents? The first move here was from 111 up to what, 156. Second move was 118 up to 130, so it's about 20 cents. 122 up to 139. So smaller and smaller moves there with 2 million shares traded. So as of now, I haven't seen anything that can get me that 30 cents easily. So just sitting on my hands, and we will see what happens further on in the day. But I'm about to jump to this morning meeting, and y'all keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe out here. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Peace. Let's see.